So I get this question a lot, and I mean it's almost every day that I stream, and that is the basic question of how do you get better? So in this video, I'm going to talk about how to get better without the standard, response of, oh, just practice. Because while it is also that simple of just practicing, it's also not that simple. And somebody telling you just practice is it's a cop out. You know, I've said it, and I've heard other people say it, and the reason why we do say it is because most streamers aren't going to take that. I'm going to take 15 minutes to explain what you have to do to get better, to know, and like we don't know if it's going to fall on deaf ears or not. We can tell you all this information, but that doesn't mean you'll take it. So anyway, I'm going to get down into how to actually get better, and anybody who asks me in the future, you may have been referred to this video through my chat, and it's, this is, if you're serious about it, stick around and hopefully you'll learn something. So let's start with something I think is a basic yet a kind of overlooked thing that you should do. A sound body is a sound mind, and a sound mind is a sound body. Basically, you need to take care of yourself. If you're not taking care of yourself, if you're getting too little sleep, if you're stressing yourself out, if you're getting angry very quickly, like, if you're quick to irate, all these things are not going to help you get better at the game. If you're lying to yourself, if you're making excuses, if you get stuck on this idea that it has to work, and if it doesn't work, then another excuse, like it's their fault, it's the game's fault. Like, the game's not doing anything. You're the one putting in inputs in. Your opponent is the one putting inputs in. So if you're going to sit there, try to flowchart, and then lie or make an excuse as to what's happening, that's a problem. You're not going to get better. You just won't. It is very important to take care of yourself. It is very important to... Did I say Barry? It's very important to take care of your body. And, it's good to see healthy competition. I would love to see more healthy competition in the FGC, but that is an entirely different topic or conversation. So, yes, it's very important. Please, please, please do take care of yourself, first and foremost. So the second thing that's important is knowledge. There's a wide array of ways to get information about Dragon Ball FighterZ and just any fighting game in general. You just basically have to ask questions, watch people. You could do YouTube guides. You could watch YouTube guides, whatever. If you're gonna go to a stream and ask somebody a question, make sure that question is specific. Do not ask over generalized questions that will take like 20 minutes to explain when you're really just looking for an answer to that one thing. A good example of that would be, hey, how do I punish Kamehameha if I see Goku just throwing it out there? And myself being a streamer, I would love to just be able to be like, oh, okay, yeah, I got you. So you're gonna want to jump up and then super dash them while they're in recovery of the Kamehameha. Be sure to look out for assists though if they have them. That would be a great question to ask. I don't mind questions like that, and it also allows me to give you a good answer, a definitive answer that will be pretty good. By the way, to answer that question, it's not just super dash. There's multiple ways. You can run forward and jump, and then just hit them in the face. Even though your character may look like it's in the beam, the hitboxes are gone. So yeah, there's just multiple ways to deal with that. But anyway, yeah, knowledge is important. You don't just go into a fight and not know what you're doing unless you're just street fighting or whatever the hell you may be doing. Like MMA fighters don't go into the ring without having some type of knowledge of how to fight. That's what makes it entertaining, is that these people are trained to know how to fight. So if you want, you're gonna have to learn how to fight, and that will certainly help you get better. You're gonna have to learn you know, what frames are. You don't have to learn what combos are, like how to do certain combos. It's all a different language, you know. If you wanna be good at speaking Japanese, you're gonna have to learn how to speak Japanese. It's not just gonna magically just happen to you. I've also seen people talk about reaction times. If we take, for example, Goichi is what, 30 something, and he does really well at this game. We also see him reacting to the game pretty well for defense and stuff like that. I'm sure he goes through multiple things to train his eyes, like speed reading, I've heard, or, you know, he'll just practice within the game. He'll have the game like do mix-ups that he thinks he can block and should be able to block. And he doesn't block everything, nor should you be able to in a fighting game. But you know, he does a pretty solid job on defense. And so I think with reaction, I'm gonna go back to the first point. You know, taking care of your body and making sure that, you know, you're functioning properly. You're not deprived of sleep. You are at your peak at being able to react and, you know, do things that you need to do to be better at the game. The reason why I mentioned his age, though, is that because, of course, the older you get, probably the less you'll be able to react. But most players are, you know, around young age to 30 when it comes to Dragon Ball FighterZ, maybe even up to 40. I don't know. There probably are some 40-year-olds out there playing this game, and that's cool. That's really cool. But to me, what I'm saying is I don't think it's a viable excuse. I don't think reaction is. I don't think age relative to reaction is what's going to keep you down in this game. So basically, just be able to practice your reactions. Reactions also come from being in the situation a lot. So a lot of times when I play a first-person shooter game and this person on my team hasn't been in like the hot seat that often, they're in top 10, they need to clutch it out, and they just start scrambling. They start scrambling because their brain starts thinking of all these things, and they don't have a set path or way of dealing with something because they haven't had the practice of being in that situation. So it's good to put yourself in those situations, have the knowledge, and then you can react with the knowledge that's in your head to be like, okay, I can do this, or, you know, he's doing this, so I need to do that. That sort of thing. And that's only really going to come with practicing, but you need to practice the right options. You need to know that if they do such and such, like if they do 6M on your block, you need to know that 6M is 0 frames, and you need to react properly with whatever it is that you want to react with. You know, if your character has a 6-frame 5L and that's what you feel like pressing, and you know it's possible that it can clash, go ahead and press 5L. Watching others is a pretty good step to learning how to play. Watching others, especially like if you're in a stream, watching that streamer play and then asking them, you know, those specific questions we talked about, so that you can obtain that knowledge and then practice it yourself is very important. Watching others is a great way to expand your knowledge and to get that experience. And speaking of experience, like, experience isn't some hidden bar that we have as humans that, you know, the more we watch somebody, the better we're gonna get at the game, because it doesn't work that way. You know, you have to see the information as well as retain the information, and then being able to put out. You know, you can, going back to the language example, you can, you know, hear Japanese and then remember what it said, but, you know, a week later, if you're gonna want to speak it, you're gonna have to remember how to say it. You know, you don't want to end up in the situation where you hear it and you be like, oh, that's right, that's what it was. No, in fighting games, you need to know immediately, like, I need to do this. Learn to take a loss in fighting games. Learn to take a loss in life. Learn to just take a loss and just be okay with it, because you can't plan for everything. You're not going to be able to plan for everything. I don't think that you should go into fighting games, have a flowchart or autopilot, and then try to keep applying this autopilot or flowchart, and then expect a W every time. It doesn't work that way, and it never will. It never will, honestly. So you really need to learn how to be okay with taking L, how to be okay with not, making excuses, etc. And it'd be super important to say, okay, here's the reason why I lost. I can try to do this in response, and then maybe this will solve it against this player or character or whatever it is that you're having issue with. You need to take it to the lab, replicate the situation, and find your answers there. So it takes work. You're gonna have to study, because if you don't study, again, you're not going to improve. You're not going to get better. You're not going to be as good as other people that you watch. I think Dragon Ball FighterZ has a pretty good tutorial system. I looked at the tutorial system and I went into detail about it, but they don't have everything. But if you take into account what I said in this video, you can learn and find out the things that weren't able to grasp from the tutorial system, and you can apply it still to your game just by asking questions and asking specific questions and trying to obtain your answers that way. So it is a good idea for new players, especially, to go through the tutorial system, freshen up on everything, do it multiple times. Don't just do it once and be like, okay, I got it. No, do it multiple times until you really, really have it in your head. And honestly, I just think that if you follow these kind of guidelines that I've given you, you'll see an improvement in your gameplay. These are things I try to instill inside myself when I play. I also talk about it on stream. I try to say, okay, well, I'm not dealing with this properly. It's not the other player, it's me. I should probably take this to training room. And you'll see me go to training room and try to figure out how to deal with something that's giving me trouble. As far as Base Vegeta's teleport kick, I've learned that with certain characters, I can actually just reflect into a punish. I can do reflect into a punish. That's unless they're calling an assist. But it's not impossible. It's not, that move is kind of hard to deal with, but it's not the end of the world. That move isn't really as good as everybody says it is. Which brings me to another point, actually. Don't bandwagon. Don't bandwagon what other people say. If you really think that if somebody's saying that so-and-so character is the best, why? You need to question and look at why somebody might be saying that. Why are you really saying that? And then, but depending on their answers, you can go off of that and then, make your own judgment. Don't just hear that, oh, Bardock is triple S tier, and you'll just be regurgitating that to somebody else, being like, oh yeah, Bardock's triple S tier. Okay, well, why is Bardock triple S tier? What? Would you be able to answer that question if somebody asked you, why is Bardock triple S tier? If you're not having fun, I suggest that you stop playing. Whether it be that you just started the game and you are getting frustrated, just stop. If you need to take a break, just take a break. Come back an hour later, freshen up, and just be like, all right, let's try it. I'm ready to try this again. If you are continuously not enjoying this game, if you constantly find yourself hating the game, stop playing. Just stop playing the game. Nobody's forcing you to play this game. You don't have to keep playing this game. If your journey to getting better isn't, a good time, if you're not seeing any improvements, if you don't like it, just, stop playing, honestly, is the best advice I can give there. I sincerely hope that these tips help you to become better at fighting games. I don't want to have to talk about all these things every time somebody asks me, hey, how do you get better? Or I wish I was as good as you, etc. These will hopefully you know, it's a basic generalization, and it doesn't require me to show you any type of gameplay to understand what I'm talking about. So thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Thank you for watching this video. If it's helped, leave a comment below. Tell me how it's helped. You know, maybe it doesn't help like for you tomorrow. Maybe it'll help like a week later, a month later, a year later. However, I hope it does help you. Not only in just this game though. It should help you in not just life, but you know, other fighting games as well. Not just Dragon Ball Z. You don't have to apply these things to just Dragon Ball Z. You can virtually apply this to any game that you want it to be competitive in. These are just some basic guidelines to help you with that.